Okay, let's do this. Hi, folks. I appreciate you all so much for choosing to spend your 10:30 at Saturday night here. I also want to be like really vulnerable. This is my first MAGFest panel. Like I've been a speaker. And I'll be very, very honest, Date Everything, it got me so geeked out as a mental health like professional. I'm just like, I could talk about this for an hour, and here I am. Okay. Now, before I get started, you're going to learn a lot about me and how even though I'm new to MAGFest, I'm not new to workshops. So I want to be really aware of the fact that it is 10:30 Saturday night, last night of MAGFest. So for any folks here who were just sitting here to rest your feet, or you got other stuff that you want to check out, I take no offense. And if anything, what I would love, my offering I'm giving to all of you, is this is a really short, just like document of just my go-tos as a mental health professional, of like directories that I can recommend folks to, websites where most of your therapists will probably grab their worksheets anyway, and then they'll skin it as their own. It's a thing, we do it. Yeah, just like, so I come into this space as a mental health professional by way of social work, so I'm a big fan of equipping folks with tools and resources and navigating, so because I have a philosophy that I believe in a world where we won't need therapists anymore, and how much of that comes from community and care and relationships. And that being said, the next couple of slides, I'm just going to let you know what to expect from me for the next 60-ish minutes. And if at any point you're like, ooh, that's a lot, this slide will come up again, the QR codes will come up again, but then also to show gratitude for folks who stay all the way through. The last slide of the panel will also include the presentation itself if you wanted to pick it apart. Like, I'm a big fan of sharing what I got for the most part, yeah. Me too, honestly. All right, let's do it. Intro, intentions. Hi, that's me right here. My name is Jamie Trapeza. My pronouns are they and she. Like I shared, I come into this space as a licensed therapist and also as a coach. I've been a mental health professional since 2014. I've worked with individuals, families, communities, doing exactly this, meeting people usually the day or two after one of the hardest days of their lives, and being part of their team to figure out like, how do we not just heal, but also grow from here? And a lot of that work ends up being relational, of like, how do folks relate to themselves? How do they relate to others? How do they assess like what the quality of relationships that they want in their lives? Which is also really into Date Everything. I'm gonna get into it. But yeah, there's my socials, website, stuff and things. What to expect from here. So as I'm going through intro intentions, I am gonna talk about the game. So if there's anybody here that hasn't played it at all yet and does not want spoilers, this is me slow talking to let you know to leave. I'm gonna try not to do a lot. I'm gonna, and while I'm talking about the game, if you've never had a therapist friend, it's like we'll see something and be like, and then when they do this, it's actually these three things in verse. So that's how this workshop is gonna go. I'm gonna then take a pause and a break. I really believe in resting, especially for me, because I'm so excited. I'm kind of nervous. I am so excited. I am nervous. So there will be breaks, and just like I invite a stretch. I'm big on just like a mind-body situation. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the content-aware feature in Date Everything, and how that also leads into relationship maintenance tools, especially when if you're dealing with certain dynamics or situations with a loved one or a community member that may be going through a tough thing that's maybe new to you, or maybe like, I need more support in this. And of course, I can't talk about relationships without also talking about the relationship with yourself. So they're gonna close it out with some tools and resources in that realm. And then again, throughout, I'll be resharing that QR code of resources, and at the end, you can get everything. Cool. Yeah, thank you very much. Just as a heads up, these are like some like websites, books, like resources that I use generally in my practice. I am a big fan of Take This. They are one of the oldest, or if not the first, like mental health games charity in the mental health and like gaming community. I'm actually an alumni of one of their fellowship program where there's training a bunch of us from the fields of like mental health care and game developers to do more of this, to do more of just like giving resources to the people and improving the way that mental health and wellness is shared in our gaming community. That being said, this is not therapy. This is not therapy. This is not therapy. If one of my clients is here, cool, you look great. No, this isn't our session. One. Two, there will be spoilers about this game. Three, there will be some references to unhealthy, abusive behaviors, thoughts of self-harm, etc. when I'm going through essentially what the content-aware features in the game can be. So please take care as you need. If you need to grab some of the free water, get free water. If you need to step out, step in, I'm cool with that. If you feel like you might need some more care or support, we have MAGFest staff around. Here in the state of Maryland, 988 is our crisis care line. And what you can expect is somebody on the other line to just check in on you and see if you need some higher levels of care. So just that all around. And also for folks who haven't stepped by the gazebo area, there's also a quiet room just in that hall right there. So big fan of just taking some space, color, put your head down, do what you need to do. So not the last chance, but just bumping this here. Ooh, let's talk about the game. Oh my God, how this game. I'll also be really honest, I did start playing it out of thirst. So Date Everything is on its face a dating simulation game. So like most of these games, you're in a scenario where you get to talk to people that want to talk to you, and you ideally romance them. What I love about this game, so you play someone who's supposed to start your first day at a new job. Things get weird. You get a mysterious package of glasses that let you weave through the universe and time, and you get to interact with like a humanoid spirit of your stuff, of over 100+ objects, like your toaster, your rubber ducky, to concepts like existential dread, oh Doug, nightmares, etc. There's a character there with the pink hair far right. I saw like 2 Skylar cosplays so far, 3. Hey. Skylar is the personification of the glasses that allow you up to like 5 chances a day to interact with up to 5 characters. More on her later. Let me get in my first one. Oh, hi, Mac. So one of the first things that I really enjoyed as a therapist, especially as someone who specializes with life transitions, so usually folks come to me in my private practice saying like, I'm new to the city. I just got a new job. I graduated. I ended a relationship. I'm starting a really good one. What? This is new. And this idea of just like intentionality of saying like, hey, things that used to define me before have changed, and now I'm going to something new. And where I'm connecting that into this like screen. So this is the screen you see when you decide to interact with an object. And I really love that because the game has these objects who know about you because this is your house. But by you taking that step to say like, hey, like, let me actually try to build a relationship with you, acknowledge you, like have some type of dialogue, how that may be true for all of us, that whether there's like a casual relationship, maybe you've been in the same Discord server for years and the same like small group of 5 or 6 people always jump up. Maybe that's like people you see on like in your work or school, or just even relatives that you're like vaguely aware of, but we haven't really made that opportunity to be like, can we actually connect? Can we bond? Can there be something more there than what's been there before? Hi. And another thing I love about this game is that even though it gives you like these many characters that you can find, like they're not telling you exactly how to find them, which then comes this another piece that I encounter as a therapist of, I don't think I can have community. I don't know if people understand me, or like what happens if I fail. And this game is a game. So I love that there's the choice of dialogue that the writers put into this game is really fascinating, because there are things that you can use in real life of saying like, what are you doing? What's going on over there? How can I help you? Things that seem really small, but when you're putting that in front of somebody like new, or someone who like knows of you, says, oh, we're getting an interest, like you're like committing to like attention, like, oh, this feels new, this feels valuable, this feels like something that we can keep going. I'm so mad because I like followed everything to Romance Hoove, and then the next day he hated me. It's okay. It's okay. And that's a segue into sometimes you do your best, you follow the gameplay to a T, and then things don't work out. And so even though in this gameplay I could technically erase the whole thing just so we can be lovers. But I do love that games like this also have this idea where if you're not trying to explicitly play to an end, and sometimes things end up in failure, how the failures still are valuable, still are meaningful, that you still get an experience of interacting with somebody. And in this game, you still get points no matter what type of status your relationship is. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Something I wanted to point out, when you meet a character and you get this like snippet of a profile, it's so interesting that this is all you know because that's what they gave it to you. That's like, this is what they let you know up front. And something that I've encountered a lot is that people say like, look, I've had a lot happen to me. There's a lot about me. I don't even know where to start. And just know that the new people in your life or people who know you only know as much as you share. And I think there's a lot of like struggle in saying that I have too much going on or I don't know where to start. And so that's where I encourage folks to think about, well, what kind of person do I want to be in relationships? Where are my relationships where I am truly the most comfortable, where I feel like the most myself, or I feel like excited if somebody gets me in this level? And I'm like, we're at MAGFest, so if this is a place for complete strangers to get you, like, yeah, like it's possible. I'm a fan of Koa, and I'm a fan of Date Everything, where even though it's a dating sim, this is not, what's the one? Deep Space, and yeah, it's not. The budget went elsewhere, but also okay. I'll come back. I love that this is a social game. So like, if you're playing thinking like, oh, I have to be like suave, I gotta be a Casanova, like, you get to see 100+ different characters, and all of them have different personalities. Some of them are really upfront about whether they're very sensual, or people like Koa who just value quality time. And you always have an option whether to engage or not. And I think that a really beautiful lesson that comes out of relationship building with Date Everything is that you can ask people to meet you where you're at. A phrase I use often in my sessions are, give people the opportunity to love you. And that comes from a place of knowing folks who maybe be really good at caring for others, or maybe really good at anticipating what I think somebody else needs, or what I think they need them to be. Which is still valuable, which is still like a strength. And then when I play Date Everything, when I run into characters like Koa or Kopi, who I was totally gonna cosplay, but I did that thing where I'm like, oh, I can make this in like less than a week. I'm like, last night I was playing D&D and I did all the stripes. I'm like, this is the wrong color. Give me. My character survived. I did not. That's okay. This cosplay will happen. Oh God. But yeah, just so, and I'm expanding this term about relationships to say that like, oh, like maybe I'm already doing the kind of thing where I have a meaningful relationship with someone in consistency. So that's like a neighbor that you say hi to because you both walk your dogs around the same time, whether that's like, again, I think of the digital spaces of like when you play in servers or play in teams of people you've never met in real life. But you have a connection to even, I think of families, I think of just general community, and just how Date Everything really invites you to be mindful. It really invites you to say like, hey, like this, you've never really talked to your toaster or appreciate it. Love them, right? And then they might sing a song for you if you're really nice to them. So I like that, especially coming from the mental health space where a lot of healing work comes from, what if everything did work out? Like, are you ready for a future where you do act as your whole full self because that's all you know how to be? And then the kind of people that are so excited to see that person, who've been ready and willing to meet that kind of person, find you a lot easier. And I also say that because sometimes I play this game and there are some characters I don't want to romance, which I'm going to go into later in Content Aware, where it's also building this safe space to fail at making a relationship with someone. To say like, if being in a lover relationship with somebody who I just saw their relationship break down, I'm okay to fail with that and know that we're still both getting something out of it. It's still a game. I do like this game. I do recommend this game very much. I mean, like, you can go on quests, solve mysteries, quote unquote. And another piece that stood out to me as someone who works a lot in relationships and social anxiety is that, you know, you may be main character, but that doesn't mean that every storyline revolves around you. Like, I love a main character energy situation of like, I am meant to be here, or that like I'm meant to be in connection with others, and how these, like, you know, it's still a fun part of the game. Also highlight that when you meet people, they may be in a different part of their lives, and the closer that you become and the more that you learn, if they let you learn more about them, you have a choice of like, how deep can I be with somebody? Where do I want to put my energy into? And that it's okay if I'm not ready, because we're looking to have a genuine relationship, not to have one that's burnt out or not real. And so these are questions that I usually ask, or like I've done in different types of programming that I reskin for Date Everything. So the concept of we have a limited number of hearts or energies that you can give in any relationship. And so I ask folks to like really sit and think of like, oh, what are the relationships I am really proud of? Like, where are those relationships where I do feel really good, that like I pay attention to these kind of these people in my life consistently? And where are some where I'm like, if I like pull back a little, would the world end? Probably not. Or would they notice? That's another thing. I've also seen folks who are like, hey, I'm in a new identity, or I'm in a new city, people who are better at this than me. That's great. If you see somebody that role models a type of social space that you want, a social energy you want to be in, that's a resource. I think a lot of people like to hear the fact that like, hey, you do something really well. How do I do that? What do you do? So like finding role models, whether in real life or if you just have characters. I mean, I'm a big D&D person, to be honest. So it's just like, oh yeah, what character, not what would Asterion do, but somebody more social. The last segment was like, how do you spend your hearts when you're at 100% or 10%? So again, this is coming down to also authenticity. Because I'll be honest, I'm pretty busy. I haven't finished the game. I played a lot of it. And some days when I'm at 100%, I notice like I'm trying to find new characters. I'm trying to like complete storylines. But at 10%, I kind of want to talk to Betty most of the time. I want to go to my comfort, I want to go to my comfort characters who tell me I'm a good pretty princess. I'm just like, yes, I just need to hear that some days. So I put this question up here to also validate folks who may feel like, oh, like I'm not really growing or pushing myself, when if the goal is to even just like let one more person other than yourself know how you feel, even in part, that's growth, that's healing, that's all part of spending your hearts. Boom, boom. So back to the gameplay itself. You have technically two objectives once you meet a character. One, you either establish that you're friends, that you're lovers, or that you hate each other. And then second, depending on how you want to win the game, you can realize or how to explain this, pull them from the fabric of whatever their dimension is and into your dimension. And so a thing that stood out to me about this is that when I first played the game, I was devastated when Hoove rejected me. I'm still kind of sad about it. But then I realized that you still gain points in any of these 5 characteristics. So for the game, it's smarts, poise, empathy, charm, sass. And something that really like hit for me is when I've been in sessions with folks who were like, I never want that person in my life again. I've learned my lesson, but that person taught me how to play ukulele. Or I watched like this anime that I have a tattoo of because of this person. Or like that person's gone and I miss them so much, and like it's been hard to do things that I used to do with them. Or this is my person that I do smarty pants stuff with. So all of that to say that like regardless of where your history with relationships has been, it's also valid and actually like really healthy to honor what's been good in there, like where you've grown, where something that you've learned about yourself has come, regardless of like how that relationship ended up. And also in the game, you win the game. Like it's in your benefit to to have a status with your relationships, which is also a thing to say like, oh yeah, let me confirm that I do care about somebody as my friend, or I love her, or this is as far as we go in terms of closeness with each other. Now granted, in real life, there's more options, but yeah, Skylar, she can do so much. Which then leads to this other part of the game called realization recipes. So this is Phoenicia. She is your phone. She loves social media. She's an influencer. And like the more that you get to know her, you realize that she uses social media as a way to like see how people are doing, try to connect, try to give support. So it makes sense that in her realization recipe, you need 100 points in like empathy. And something that I liked about that is like, even asking folks like, what is your realization recipe? So these are 3 questions that I pulled to break it down. So like, for example, like what are 5 like values central to who you are? And usually when I ask folks to think about that, I say, think about a relationship you felt really good in. Somewhere where you felt respected, safe, somewhere where you felt like you could be your real self, and just like really think about like, oh yeah, like how often am I that version of myself alone or with others? And then on the other side, like how have I known that relationships that I'm with are safe for that? Like maybe it's, let's see, like, oh yeah, my my exes are my exes, but they did know to give me like a big sack of potatoes or a bunch of like my comfort food. So I'm just like, all right, this relationship's lasting another 3 months or something. Or to like having my friends who are like, oh, like they say something that they like and I just happen to find it and give it. It's like, so that's gift giving. Other ways maybe like casual like words of affirmation, even like upvoting, staying on somebody's stream a little longer than you mean to, like other ways to like give and show support in something that's meaningful for someone that's doable for you. And again, because as a relationship workshop, it's also self-love, self-relationship. You want to think about all those characteristics when you really liked who you were when you're with others, and think about, how do I do that when I'm alone? Like, for example, if that's when I'm really good with others, like I love like telling jokes, or I love like being really like chatty. And like when you're with yourself, how much of that looks like you loving up yourself? Like whether that's, I'm a therapist, we love a journaling because it works, of just like, oh, like something I give for my clients is a ta-da list. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling a little low, I'd be like, stop. It's, I can't read, 10:54 at night. What did I do today that I can be like, ta-da? It's like, I got out of bed, ta-da. I drove in this freaking rain, ta-da. And just like really go down the line of just like, hey, like I like being able to praise and like love up on others. Let me also be authentic to that value and do that when I'm alone. Yeah. This is a quote I use very often because the word boundaries seems to get a really bad rap. Like most people think boundaries means do this thing or we're done, or like I need to, or coming from a place of like punishment or harm. So this creator, Prentice Hemphill, they're a really amazing like author, speaker in the mental health community. And this 2 sentences always blow me away. It's, boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. And then boundaries give us the space to do the work of loving ourselves. This could be a whole like panel on its own. So one thing I really love about this definition of boundaries is that if I, in loving you, have to love me less or hate myself, that's an ow, like there's been a harm. Or in the reverse, if in asking you to love me in a way that's actually exhausting you or hurting you, I've crossed a boundary, there's been a harm. And then I come from like a restorative justice like background, so when we say like not a rule broken, but like there was an owie, there was a harm, like there was, like the action happened, like you aren't the bad person, but the thing that happened caused a harm. I trust you enough to let you know that something hurt so that we can do this together. And then I also love this idea of like boundaries giving us the space to do the work of loving ourselves. I think that's something that's really indicative, like if someone's here saying, I don't know if my relationship is healthy, or like, can I trust that this feels good? To think about the times where like, hey, like I can trust myself to love myself, even if that means not spending time with a person, and then that person can love me even when I'm not there. Or you might be also realizing if folks are like, have people in mind, are like, oh, you know what, I am truly loved by people who understand me and don't ask me to go beyond my boundaries. Yeah, give them a heart, give them a love, like a little big moments of joy and just appreciation truly go a long way, especially in the 2026 timeline that we're in. Like, joys everywhere truly matter. And then this came up, I know it doesn't seem a little outline, but it just, I also like, this is for folks in the room who have a tough time with boundaries and like, they don't want to say no, and that's okay. Honestly, same. Like saying no can be a little tough. So these are ways that I offer folks to think about, what am I really trying to say when I'm trying to tell somebody no? To say that, hey, I could do this tomorrow. I can't do this right now. To, I am 100% your person in a week. I am like 10% your person. To, I don't do that anymore. And just all of these being framed as ways to give the person who's hearing you an opportunity to choose whether they hear you and they take this boundary as like as a redirect, or to show you if this boundary like is something that they want you to break for them or not. And there's a lot of gray in between, but I also want to offer that some people aren't used to hearing no from somebody. I think there's a lot of times where I've strategized with somebody and then come back to find out that like, oh, they had no idea that I was exhausted. And I'm like, well, yeah, because your makeup is on point, girl. Like this foundation does not budge. Like they don't see the dark circles under your eyes, or like people don't see it because you're really good at not showing it. So again, when I think of tasking folks to to like give people opportunities to love you in new ways, that's also an opportunity for yourself to say like, what if this does work out and it can get easier to ask for things or to be honest with myself. And yeah, again, there's no reason why I date everything. I'm like half bawling and then half like ooh la la. Like there's a lot that comes through my head when we're playing these characters. Yeah, this is my one break. So I would love to invite folks, if you haven't already, to just like a little stretch of the neck. Maybe take a breath. Yeah, we got some butterfly wings up here. Let's do that. Oh, thank you for enjoying. So that's part one done. We got 2 more to go. If you feel like you want to get out, all blessings to you. If you want to take the QR code, all good. There's 2 more parts to this. Also, as like a mental health practitioner, I'm very big on like moving your body. If you've never been in a session before, those are roughly like 36 to 52 minutes. So I'm like, listen, neither of us can be ramrod straight for a whole hour. Like we need some motion, we need some movement. All right. Second part. So this is the part where I'm going to talk about Date Everything's content-aware feature, where we're going to go into a brief list of the kind of conditions that the game has in the game that you can choose to skip, but there will be a list here, and I'm going to reference one of them, potentially two. So a toxic relationship, and then someone who has a specific trauma related to observing like fire and destruction. So those are my heads up. So Priya Parker is a really beautiful author. She wrote The Art of Gathering. I bring this quote into the space as we date everything. Like you may just come in just to romance people. That's cool. You may just go in just for vibes, just to have something cozy. And the quote goes, reverse engineer an outcome. Think of what you want to be different because you gathered and work backward from the outcome. So for example, when you encounter a character whose storyline is listed under a content aware, this screen comes up. Skylar pops up, says, hang on, my content aware is going off. And as a mental health person and a gamer, I really love the way that Date Everything handled not just like pinging you, the player, but the many different ways that Skylar says like, hey, this person's a sweetie. And also they may do some things that may seem XYZ, or that may seem like possessive, that like they're also been dealing with depression. And what I love about that is that it breaks down this like taboo that like, oh, if you've gone through something or you've been hurt in a way, that you're broken, you're cooked. There's no way you're allowed to have any kind of relationship. So I love that Date Everything gives grace to folks of all different experiences to say that this person is still capable of being a friend. This person is still capable of reciprocating in a romantic relationship. This person you may hate for different reasons, but it wouldn't be solely because of like their condition, because that's the case with any character. But I do love that the game really humanizes that like people are more than what they've gone through. Like that's not the biggest cookie in their jar. So just a list of if you were thinking about playing the game or you're very early to playing the game, and I'll read it. I'll read it. So there are some characters who are really sexual or sensual, or that they're looking for a more like sex-forward relationship, to characters that use explicit language, who may treat you who may treat like a partner or a friend that they have in-game with neglect or disrespect, sociopathic behavior, stalking, hoarding, manipulation, trauma, premature death. So again, so you can also Google these if they ever, I don't know if they're going to add more characters or whatnot. But I do appreciate that the game is really upfront about the kind of characters that you may encounter. And also there's no penalty if you decide to take the skip option. And it's also interesting for me, since most content-aware features are associated with horror games, where you can either toggle off jump scares or certain types of like intensity, or you can skip certain dialogues or chapters without like losing like progress in the game, or like hurting how you win. And I think that's really important for us in the gaming community to say that we can still enjoy good storytelling, we can still enjoy like thrilling and like exciting and fulfilling gameplay without having to force every person, regardless, with no consideration of where they come from or what this might mean for them, to go through a thing just because some writer says like, oh, it's like they need to go through these kind of experiences to be valid, because that's not true of real life. What does content aware look like IRL? I mean, for the most part, like when you meet people, so they may likely tell you themselves, and whether that's like in a profile or in just like a first encounter, in like a negative way or a challenging way. But I've also worked with folks who said like, hey, I have a certain condition in my life, or if you're gonna get closer as friends or lovers or share space with me, I need you to be okay with doing certain things. If I need care, if I need space. So just like also knowing that like in content aware, you can choose to skip, which in real life would not be ghosting. I don't recommend it. I've also still done it and I need to work on that. But also things like saying like, hey, so if this is as far as we can get before any more responsibilities, things change, then this is actually as far as I can go for now. And that's okay. And also think about ways that community talks about others, or social media, what they surround themselves, say about them. I am also a big fan of, if we're going to talk about emotional and mental, there's also a spiritual component to connecting with people, to giving them your energy and your time, and that you might meet somebody who checks all your boxes, but your gut feeling, whatever it is, says, I don't think this is the right person for me or the right time. And the other side of that working out can be like, oh, weeks later, this person is consistent. Maybe we can rebuild again, and this person wants to stay too. I don't want to have to find out that my intuition was trying to protect me from something that I'm now have to heal from myself. I'm also a big fan of like really deepening your roots in the relationships that you do have, for people that do care about you, to ask them, to like, hey, you know parts of me, or like you like, I trust that you know me enough, like what do we think about how I'm showing up in this relationship, or what this new person's energy is looking like in my life. And again, coming from a place of just gut checking, giving people opportunities to love you, having yourself even practice what it's like to share thoughts and feelings out loud, because ultimately you're the final decision maker. Like no gameplay can tell you how to actually play your game. Otherwise I paid all that money just for something to play for me. No. But yeah, just to know that like when you choose to embark on something, to be like, how do I get prepared? So this is one for me. It was one of the first couple content aware characters I met. Harper is your laundry basket. Dirk is your dirty laundry. And it's an interesting situation where you meet them together and individually. Generally, like it goes well, like you like them, but you see their relationship together. For me, I played it through where they were able to break up amicably, and I can be friends with both of them, just because me as a person, and just like, I don't know if I could like romantically pursue somebody where I've just supported them through a breakup. Did I choose this because it is also a shameless plug for therapy? Yeah, kind of, yeah, too. If they were to pay my fee and come in for a couple session, and this is also a great exercise to do, not just with like partners, but like friends or like people that like you haven't had a chance to like just appreciate. You can always say like, hey, this therapist did this thing and I just want to try it out. Like I tell my clients all the time, like throw me under the bus. Say that you're like doing an I love you exercise because I told you to. So I love saying like of eye contact in couples therapy or family therapy, like eye contact is generally important. So it's or like some form of like acknowledging closeness or attention. So the script goes, hey, I really appreciate that you put out my like cosplay on the bed this morning, even though like I didn't ask you to. I do need like less of like texting when am I available, when I'm doing, girl, we share location. But I can commit to supporting you by checking in and doing stuff. So that's just one way of how easy that script could go. And just, I love this exercise because it does a lot of just like, hey, I see you, I see for what you do well. I see a place where you can grow and change, and that I am also committing to supporting you through that ask that I made of you. So it shows that like, again, it's like you and your person versus problems and like winning together as opposed to you being against the other person. How am I on time? Okay, I figured it out. For folks who are like TTRPG folks, D&D folks, Lines and Veils is essentially to speak of like safety tools that you use before you engage in a roleplay session or roleplay campaign. Adrienne Marie Brown is a phenomenal author in her book, Pleasure Activism. I love it for two reasons. I mean, one, pleasure activism, imagine content, and two, she also includes a bunch of like little activities just like this, like questions and prompts. And so her version of Lines and Veils is like intimate trigger maps. And so just in short, just like when you meet certain characters and be like, oh, they would hate me if I brought up their ex-chappie that melted in the wash, or this person would hate me if I tell them that like they're not as scary. Nightmare hates me because I'm like, oh, you're not that scary. Just so like this is something for you, just for yourself to be like, oh, like what is real for me, so that I can also be clear about the kind of people in my life that do honor my boundaries or do know this about me, and I don't have to teach people, to folks who are exhausting in the number of ways that I have to like navigate the yellows and the oranges that get pulled up. I was gonna talk about her if I had time. In short, so this is Arma. She plays your fire alarm. So this is a character where I think Date Everything just did really good writing when it came to if you wanted to befriend her or become her lover, of meeting somebody in a space that's trying to heal and change from like being stressed out and being like feeling like they can't change. Like the belief is my value is tied to my productivity. My value is tied to like being selfless for others, and how the storyline, if goes well, generally comes from a place of like seeing and honoring this person, and then also giving you the hard choices of like confrontation, of just like really like encouraging somebody to also think more for themselves, like think more beyond like who they currently are. I don't know if that's making sense, but it is 11:10. And like I really love this storyline for that, to like, even though it seems a little shaky that like the choices, the game, like Screen Rant said, to get into friends or lovers, where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of like pushing her, or just like I'm not letting her like get away with like negative behaviors, even though she says that's what she wants to do, and how that like eventually turns around into like a healthy relationship. So for folks who are also looking for like other like step-by-steps, and remember, and in this PowerPoint, there is a QR code for the PowerPoint. Mental Health First Aid is a really great free, usually free, certification or training you can get. These 5 steps you can technically do in any order, but it's usually when you see somebody in crisis or you see somebody you're concerned about or somebody just seems a little off. The goal is to approach, just be like, hey, how you doing? You're looking a little different. L is to listen, non-judgmental, be like, hey, tell me more, or like, what's been going on? So like open-ended questions instead of what's wrong with you. 3, give support. G, give support and information to be like, hey, I attended this one panel. I saw a couple, there's this little like list of like worksheets or things. You want to fill something out together. And then go to E, encourage appropriate professional help. Be like, yo, let's text your therapist, or let's call a hotline together, or even a warm line. So there's a difference. So warm lines are like non-crisis, like volunteers or like mental professionals are on the other side to just like check in with folks. And then also E, encourage self-help and other support strategies to be like, all right, let's get the good Snuggie out. Where's the comfort movie? Last Unicorn, let's do it. Demon Slayer, the 3rd movie, let's go. And just know that like if you ever find yourself thinking like, I don't know how I could support somebody, like it feels awkward or weird we've never done that before. Just again, giving people more opportunities to love you, and by trying to like offer yourself like, hey, we haven't had to say this before, but I will show up for you if that's what you need, and this is a way that I can do it. One of my favorite resources is the Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective. They have a really great, beautiful wellness tools page. Again, as a social worker, I'm really big on like use these immediately, can't incorporate without me, all good. So this is like a community care support plan. I think also now more than ever when we're having like things can happen. Do we know who to call on, who's like would do meal prep or support, or do I know like my mom's like doctor or something if I need something to happen, if something were to happen, like do we have active conversations about how people are thinking about taking care? Are people assuming I'm already part of their plan, and who's on mine? And then I had to get into this quote by Wolf Roby. It's about joy. It says, everything about us, about you, is a revolution. Existing, just being together, finding joy, being seen. Even the smallest, I love your hair, or that pin, button, patch, ribbons, like some people have like shields of ribbons, okay, is so cool. So just keep doing that. See each other, pick up all the joy that you can find. And I think MAGFest and cons are such a beautiful, amazing way to see that. We see people and folks of all different like walks of life, different fandoms, different everything, and just like seeing like this be one of the spaces where we can still have joy and respect and care for each other. Somebody just gave me dice. I was like, oh my God, I believe in humanity again. It was a D4. Again, this is also a gaming con, so we all know, like there's games that you can play together or with other people. My wife bought It Takes Two, and it almost ruined my marriage. I'm like, I can't play this. Overcooked though, because I am bossy. I won't be on the screen. I'll be the manager. I'm like, you go here, you go there. Playing games together. Gottman Institute. In short, like there's also games like the 36 questions to fall in love, or these other prompts like or these other games like we're not really strangers, parents are human, where should we begin? So these already exist, these kind of conversation decks or ways that you can gamify just building with your people, building with your community. Yeah, so this is the last just like stretch break before we get to the last part. Oh, cool, I'm good on time. So I just say, yeah, so this Victory V came up in a mind-body, like vagal nerve connection of just like tilting your head back, opening chest. Oh my God. Yeah. Right, and just like, invite some like softness in your neck, feel free, because a lot of like anxiety and tension come here. A lot of like, I'm afraid to move, or like, I don't think I can be spacious. It tends to look like a lot of covering your organs. So that's why a lot of like our mind body woo-woo therapists, we love a lot of like take up space, like funky chicken it out, and like how this use of play is actually like, I got this, I'm safe, I'm in a good space, I can twist, oh, my back, okay. All right, last part, I appreciate y'all being here with me, let's do this. I'm talking about you, I'm talking about self-maintenance and care. Had to do it. I mean, come on. So again, like this is a panel about date everything, where you play somebody who by choice, because you could go outside and touch grass or actually die by dishwasher. It's weird. You could choose to not play this game at all, but you do choose to interact with all of these relationships, figure out how you want to like build with other people. And honestly, because most of the concepts and objects you deal with are in your house, they are not afraid to tell you that like, you don't go out. When's the last time we hosted a dinner party? The good dishes have not been out in a minute. So it's also kind of like a little tongue-in-cheek, if it's something to relate to be like, yeah, how often do I make an effort? I remember when Pokemon Go came out, I had never been out of my local park forever, and it was like wild to be like, oh, sunlight, this path, like these like people also looking for the same shinies and whatever, like what a trip. So as I talk about self-care and I talk about like being like tending to the relationship with yourself, I also got to talk about this like thing that's been coming up on my TikTok feed as a therapist of self-maintenance. So self-maintenance being different from self-care. And that self-maintenance is like, this is truly my like bare minimum of like, sure, I can rally for on like 5 hours of sleep, but I really need at least 3. Or like, yeah, I can skip breakfast and lunch, but I do need at least like five like big gulps of water, or I do need to eat a certain amount, or like my vitamins or my medicine. So these kind of questions are like encouraging you to ask, like, what do I actually need to be a functional person? Like whether that's, and if you've two tools that like most like mental health places use that you can self-report on. It's called the GAD-7 and the PHQ-9. The GAD-7 measures for general anxiety disorder, and the PHQ-9 measures for like signs of depression. And both of them come from a space of, have you eaten? Did you drink water? Do you rest? Are you worried more often and you can't stop worrying? Do you feel like you don't matter? And like how all of these are interconnected into, is your maintenance even on point? Are we even taking care of your base self so we can figure out what's really, really harming you? Or like in that Snickers commercial, Betty White, are you just hungry? R.I.P. So again, coming back to Beam, I really love their self-care map. So to describe this image, there's 4 categories: emotional, physical, spiritual, mental. The 3 questions are: 1, what do you practice for each type of self-care? 2, what community support do you need? And 3, who will be your accountability partners? I think a common challenge I have with folks when we talk about like taking care of themselves is the idea like, great, I will be like Goku and Vegeta, I will go into the time machine, no one else is gonna see me, and I'm just gonna get super swole. I wish. But the idea that like even them, like when they went as a pair, they went together. So this idea that like you don't hurt your progress by letting certain folks know like where you're at and what support that you need. And if anything, like when we heal in community and not in isolation, we only go farther together. Personal crisis plans. So you can Google this. Like I pulled this from Lindsay Brownman because I liked that it was like drawn out. But it also encourages you to know like, hey, not every day is going to be great. Do I know what it looks like before I'm in crisis? Am I like sleeping more? Am I more irritable? Am I not like logging in so often? Am I like eating certain foods? So just also know that your body, your mind, your spirit also tells you when you're like, hey, you really need to take care of yourself, or I'm gonna take care of you. That's not supposed to be a threat. So I want to close this out with this last exercise and a quote, and then the QR codes that I promised you all. So if nothing else from this, like I come here as a health professional, a gamer, but someone who's a big fan of Date Everything, and how much of Date Everything really has you gameplay of like, yeah, how can I be a better friend, lover, community member? How do I, even if I have a hate relationship with somebody, I still have the power to like realize them and like have them be around, or like honor like what our relationship has been like in all forms. So this is what I want to invite you to do to close this out. is to really think about a time in any kind of relationship where you were what I would say is your favorite self. So again, coming back to a relationship where you felt safe, where you felt respected, where you felt a little freer to breathe, where you felt a little more open to share of who you are. And that could be in anything, whether it's as a community member, a friend, a relative, a lover, a partner, a colleague. And just thinking of those ways where, like, what was it that allowed me to be my favorite self? So the prompt that I usually ask folks to is like, so this is true for me. It's like, when I'm my favorite self, I know I'm such a ham. I like to chat. I like to yap. I'm really social. And I know I can be that way when I'm around, like, kind, cool people, when it's a clean environment, and when I know what to expect. And then I also know about myself that if I'm around, like, grimy people in a grimy space and, like, I don't know what to expect, or, like, it's chaotic, I'm quiet. I'm reserving myself. I'm trying to get out. I don't want to be there. You're not going to see my favorite self in that space. And something I want to encourage y'all as you're thinking about what your favorite selves had looked like, to also think about the people that are coming to mind that you feel really good about being that person with. And you can, like, slip that in there to be like, I'm really like who I am with you. Like, I'm a favorite version of myself when I'm around you, and I appreciate you for that. So we're gonna close it with this quote from Janet Mock, and then we'll release y'all to the world. She says, "I believe that telling our stories, first to ourselves and then to one another and the world, is a revolutionary act. It is an act that can be met with hostility, exclusion, and violence. It can also lead to love, understanding, transcendence, and community. I hope that my being real with you will help empower you to step into who you are and encourage you to share yourself with those around you." And we made it with time to spare. So appreciate you all so much. Thank you for spending your time here with me. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, please feel free. I appreciate that folks are taking pictures of the presentation itself, and now you can just have it. Feel free to pull it apart. And if you ever folks want to connect or just, like, chat, or, like, and want advice about how to find a therapist or using any of these tools, please feel free to DM me or email me. I'm definitely going to be recovering from this con for a couple days, but thank you all so much for being in the space, and I hope you enjoy the rest of MAGFest.